Skoda has established itself in the mid-sized SUV segment with this Kodiaq, a model now usefully upgraded with a smarter look both inside and out, and some more efficient engines. You can still have 7 seats and 4-wheel drive, and whatever spec is chosen, you still get class-leading passenger space and a range of distinctly Skoda, simply clever features. It can tow up to 2.5 tons too, and has one of the largest boots in its class. In other words, you'd have to take this contender seriously. Let's put this car to the test.
Skoda has refreshed the engine portfolio for this updated Kodiaq model, but there are no significant dynamic changes, so it'll all be quite recognisable if you're familiar with earlier versions of this car. If you're approaching a drive hoping for a rewarding time at the wheel, you're obviously a very optimistic kind of a person. Even in the modern era, big, spacious 7-seater SUVs have a reputation for handling with all the dynamic finesse of a Channel ferry, as do big Skodas. It is pleasantly surprising then to find that the Kodiaq is actually quite an agile thing by class standards. It's relatively lightweight and its rigid chassis delivers decent body control through the turns, although you would better appreciate that if the steering felt a bit more responsive. Another noticeable trait lies in the way that the 4-link rear suspension provides a firmish quality of ride, and that's a world away from the soft, floaty springing that you get in the Czech brand's similarly priced Superb Estate. You can improve it with an optional DCC, Dynamic Chassis Control Adaptive Damping package. Now this works through the settings of the Drive Mode Select system, which is provided on most models, and that's a package that's able to alter steering feel and throttle response, plus gearshift timings too, if you have a variant fitted with the 7-speed DSG automatic gearbox that nearly all Kodiaqs now have to have. As for engines, well, Skoda have structured the lineup so that almost all buyers will end up going for a 150 PS unit, either a 1.5 litre TSI petrol power plant, or more likely a 2 litre TDI diesel, the latter black pump fueled unit being from the VW Group's latest EVO generation, featuring the conglomerate's cleaner twin dosing technology, which lowers NOx emissions by up to 80%. As a result, the 2 litre TDI 150 PS variant that most will want manages up to 141 grams per kilometre of CO2 in front-driven form and up to 52.3 mpg on the combined cycle. If you are looking at these two mainstream engines, then do bear in mind that only the 1.5 litre petrol unit can be had with manual transmission, but unlike the 2 litre TDI 150 PS diesel, it can't be ordered with the option of 4-wheel drive. That 4-wheel drive setup, by the way, is the usual Volkswagen Group on-demand system, which cuts in when a lack of traction demands. It's a system that comes with a selectable off-road mode, which focuses all the car's electronic systems for off-piste use. If neither of those two mainstream engines suit you, then your dealer will wheel out some other rather more powerful options, which, as you might expect, only come in combination with automatic transmission and 4-wheel drive. There's a top 200 PS version of the diesel unit, or alternatively there's a 190 PS version of the brand's now improved 2 litre TSI petrol power plant. Beyond that lies the top sporting variant that we're trying here, the VRS, which has, as part of this facelift, swapped out the bi-turbo 240 PS diesel engine it used to have for a 245 PS version of the 2 litre TSI petrol powertrain. Skoda's sharp, clean-cut design language has translated very well into the kind of purposeful, premium look required of a modern full-sized SUV. This Kodiaq's just 8mm longer than the Czech brand's Octavia family hatch, but it looks far larger, with striking styling supposed to convey an impression of protection and strength. For this revised version, design chief Oliver Stefani sought to add a crisper front-end look and more dynamic tail treatment, but the changes are pretty subtle. Most of them feature here at the front, where there's a more elevated bonnet and a redesigned, more upright Skoda grille. The headlights flanking it, which are still inspired by traditional Czech crystal glass art, are now slimmer, and they get full LED beams with the option, as here, of intelligent matrix technology. Not much has changed in profile apart from the now more aerodynamic wheel designs. Rims range in size from 18 inches to the 20-inch Sagittarius alloys we have here. The rugged look plastic-clad wheel arches really need larger rim sizes to complete the intended SUV look, which is emphasised here by roof rails and strong lower sills. It's all very practical rather than trying to be sporty, which is why the Chinese market gets an additional separate Kodiaq GT SUV coupe model. Here at the rear, the roof spoiler has been redesigned, complete with its third brake light. Plus, the rear window below is narrower and there are slimmer, more sharply designed LED taillights with crystalline structures which form the Skoda typical C-shaped light cluster. This VRS model sets itself apart with distinct badging and a reflector which spans the entire width of the car. Behind the wheel, the Skoda design team have usefully updated the solid and now quite classy Kodiaq cabin. Here we've got the top VRS model with its micro-suede trimmed sport seats and red stitching, but even humbler models have taken a big step forward in cabin ambience, primarily due to additions like classier decorative strips, additional contrasting stitching, a smarter capacitive steering wheel and enhanced LED ambient lighting. Plusher models can now be ordered with perforated, ergonomically supportive leather seats and the enhanced 10-speaker Canton sound system that we have here. The cabin screen tech also pushes things up market. Now true, entry-level trim still gets you old-fashioned analog dials and an 8-inch Amundsen centre display that's no bigger than the screen size of the original model. But above base spec level, you can now make your Kodiaq's cabin considerably more up-to-date with the kind of layout that we have here. That gets you a 10.25-inch virtual cockpit digital display for the instrument binnacle and a larger 9.2-inch Columbus infotainment monitor for the centre of the dash. This also includes Laura, Skoda's digital assistant voice control system. Getting comfortable is straightforward with lots of seat and wheel adjustment, making it easy to find the ideal position. Plus there's loads of cabin storage space here. Enough of what it's like at the front of this Kodiaq. Let's check out the rear now, and that's accessed by these wide opening doors. The second row bench features all the versatility you'd want from this kind of 7-seat SUV. So the backrest reclines for greater comfort on long journeys, and the base slides back and forth through 180 millimetres. So what's it like in the third row? Well, back here you're quickly reminded that this is an SUV, not an MPV. Overall, though, the space back here isn't really any more restricted than it would be in any other mid-sized SUV of this kind. And uncomplaining adults joining you for short journeys will probably be quite glad of it. With the tailgate raised, the huge apertures revealed, complete with a usefully low loading sill. Most of the time, owners of 7-seat Kodiaq models are probably going to be using their cars with these rearmost seats folded into the floor. That's an action that's easy and simple to complete. In which case, there's 560 litres of space on offer, with the middle row positioned as far back as it'll go, like this. Today, over 40% of all the cars Skoda sells are SUVs. A modern era reinvention of the brand started with this Kodiaq. This revised version of the original model didn't need too many changes, and it hasn't had them. If you didn't already want a Kodiaq before, you probably still won't want one now. But if this Czech family crossover does take your interest, then there are now even more reasons to feel satisfied with your choice. And in summary, well, yes, the Kodiaq isn't particularly engaging to drive, but what car in this sector is? And anyway, its other attributes are far more important for customers in this segment. Comfort, refinement, decent all-round value and spacious 7-seat practicality, all of which means one thing. If you have a growing family, a sensible budget and a desire for the style of an SUV, the Kodiaq is still a car that you can't ignore.